You know, I look at a lot of things that happen, and and I always say this, you know, how you treat yourself is directly tied to the level of respect, regard, and worth that you find in yourself. So then the question is, what are you worth? What do you believe you're worth? Okay? And I ask that question because many of us want to demand respect, love, admiration from people. We want to get the treatment as if we are special, unique, but yet we don't honor that when it comes down to ourselves. You know, like the quote, it is fair to ask of others what you're not willing to do yourself. If you do not honor yourself, if you do not respect yourself, if you do not care for yourself, if you do not carry yourself as if you are important, as if you are valuable, as if you care about yourself, why is it that you ask people to do that for you? Okay? How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself from yourself? We talk about mind, body, and soul. We talk about motivation. We talk about health. But all these things are rooted in your love and your worth that you find in yourself. If you believe you are worthy, you will do everything that you can do to demand that worth. But the first person to demand the worth from is you. Are you giving yourself everything that you are worthy of? Are you giving yourself the best chance at the best life that you are worthy of? Are you taking care of yourself and presenting yourself in the manner that is worthy of you and who you believe that you are? And if not, then why do you believe you're worth so little? That is the answer to the question, are you worth it? Are you actually living up to it? You know, are you living up to your worth? You know, are you? Okay, are you? Look at how you treat yourself. Look at how you have, look at what you put into yourself. Do you treat yourself as if you are valuable? Okay, and if you don't treat yourself like you're valuable, then the question is why? And then the next question is, why do you expect other people to value you more than you appear to value yourself? Okay? The price at which you present yourself is the one that you're going to be bought at, valued at. But realistically, you cannot present yourself in a manner that is not indicative of how you treat yourself. Everybody ever been to like one of those fine jewelry stores? You know how when they bring out the jewelry, the guy has on gloves and he lays it on a particular cloth and everything like that. Versus when you go to a pawn shop and they just put it down on the table. How you present? Are you worth it? Okay. And you know what? The thing is that if you have not gotten to the place where you are performing, okay, at a certain way, there's easy ways to do it, but there are three major steps. Number one, you got to upgrade your standards, okay? The standards you set for yourself, that's number one. You got to upgrade that. You got to upgrade your beliefs, okay? That's number two, okay? And lastly, you have to implement, first of all, and upgrade your strategy. There's nothing wrong with being at a place where I ask the question, you know, Are you worth it? Have you lived up to your standards? And you say, no, I have not. Okay, all is not done, all is not dead. However, it's now a task of yours to do what? Live up to that. How do you do that? Upgrade your standards. Upgrade your beliefs in who you are, who you should be, what you actually deserve, and then implement and upgrade a strategy so that you can attain that level. Okay? We all have done things in the past. There were times in the past where I wasn't living up to what I believe. And in a lot of ways, we always are trying to strive for more. So I would say, even to this day, right, I believe that I'm worth more. That's why I try for more. Okay? But there has to be an upgrading of all those things, standards, beliefs, and strategy, action, to attain that better version of yourself that you deserve. And then you in turn can bring that better version of to people that we deserve. And then we then will honor that version as the best version or a better version of yourself. Okay? How do you upgrade your standards? Okay? If you want to change something, upgrade your standards just means simply raising your expectations of yourself. Okay? Raising your expectations. How do you raise your expectations? You look inside yourself and you say, okay, wait a minute. Is this all? I always tell people, I started off with the simple statement, I'm better than this. Well, how much better? Well, we will see. But I know that what I did today, I am better than that. And tomorrow I will strive to beat what I did today, even if it's by 1%. Okay? What I expect from myself is improvement. What I expect from myself is higher and better than what I've given. I will not allow the best that I've ever done to be the standard that I live my life by. I will set new standards every single day, and I will rise and I will meet those standards, and my goal is to exceed those standards. So I have a new base point, a new barometer by which I judge myself. That's what it means, raising your standards. Okay? It doesn't mean you have to be snobbish and discard people and stuff like that. The people who are meant for you will rise with you. It's real simple. It doesn't have to be a big discussion. It doesn't have to be a big declaration. You just raise your standards. The people around you will see that your standards have changed. Your taste has changed. The things you involve yourself in have changed. Okay? But what is the bottom line of being able to raise your standards? You got to raise your beliefs in who you think you are. Like I always say, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. Okay? A lot of people do not live up to their worth because they do not literally believe that they're worth that. Sometimes people say it. Okay? People will say it. People say a lot of things. Okay? But the truth is, do you really believe it? Because if you said it and you believed it, that will show in your actions. But if you're saying it and you don't act it, that means you don't really believe that. And no one can value you more. No one can love you more, pay you more, value you more than what you believe you're worth. You will always play down or play up to your best version of who you believe you are, regardless of situation. Okay? Regardless of situations. Upgrade your belief. All right? Once again, it comes from taking that look inside and saying, all right, because I've been acting this way, and that is not indicative of what I believe, right? But what do I really believe I'm worth? All right? Not some grandiose version of something, not some, imaginative thing where some people are delusional or have delusions of grandeur. Take an honest inventory of who do you believe you are? What do you believe you're worth? And then look at your actions and say, okay, well, have I lived up to that? Am I doing that? Is that what I'm giving right now? And if I'm not doing that, if I'm not giving that, if I'm not living up to that, then you know what? The task is, okay, well, how can I do that? How can I live up to that? And that comes to step 3. Upgrade your strategy of action. People who believe in themselves do certain things. One of the first things you need to do, you need to take care of your actual self. Okay? Take care of your health, spiritually, mentally, physically. Line them all up. Make sure they're congruent. Okay? And I find it, like I said, interesting because it goes to a lot of topics that we see in the news. You know, I look at situations, where the music people listen to, right? The music that people listen to, I mean, I find it very difficult for someone to actually find value in who they are, but yet listen to music that basically denigrates them. Sing along with songs that call themselves derogatory names and speaks about them in a, or the demographic they belong in a derogatory way. That's not indicative of someone who knows their worth, whether it's entertainment or not. It's not that entertaining. And you listen to stuff long enough, guess what? It bleeds in. I always tell people music is the soundtrack of your life. The music that you listen to is the soundtrack of your life, whether or not you want to believe it or not. Music is a trance. Music will hypnotize. Music will, how many times people listen to music and you feel good when you listen to music? Music plants a seed. Now what seed are you planting? Are you planting a seed that's telling you you're worth more? Or are you planting a seed that's telling you you're some base level human being? And they put a catchy tune to it. And so then you think it's cute. The things you engage in, the people you associate with. All right? You have to question those things. Because those things are the things that run in the back of your mind on a constant basis. Those things are the things that affect what you believe and who you believe you are. Okay? Someone says, most people don't really listen to the words. If we did, we wouldn't listen. Actually, you don't listen to your words, but the subconscious does. Trust and believe. Your subconscious hears everything. You think you don't listen. Your mind is listening. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, your mind is listening. Okay? Your mind is listening. And people love to make that excuse. But you can look at our society right now. You can look at people living out the words of those songs in our society right now. You can see it. You see it every time. Look at what's happened in our society over the last 20 or 30 years. Since they actually started using music as a weapon. Okay? Think about that. And we're wielding that weapon against ourselves every single day. Think about that. And it's unfortunate that people really believe, well, I don't really listen to the songs, I just like the beat. Then listen to instrumental. People always try to, that's why I don't know the lyrics. Trust me, you know the lyrics. This has been scientifically studied. This is not something that you're going to argue. But if you want to argue, you can argue with yourself. Because that means, guess what? You're still trying to defend your bullshit. And that's another thing. I'm going to tell you something else. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it a buck. If you're trying to defend your bullshit, that means you have no interest in changing it. That means you have no problem with what you do. And that means you will stay exactly where you are. Anytime somebody spends enough energy trying to defend their bullshit as opposed to changing it, understanding it, there's nothing profitable in listening to music that denigrates you. So just the fact that someone is trying to justify tells you everything. And it should be a red flag to you. Stop trying to justify it. There's no reason why someone should be listening to that, period. There are other great songs with great lyrics that tell you positive things that you can elect not to know the words to too. All right. It's like saying, well, I swim around in a shit pond, but, I really don't get the shit on me because, I have this suit on. Well, why don't you just swim in a pond without shit? How about that? We have to stop. Like I said, acknowledgement is the first step towards making a positive change. If one is not willing to acknowledge, then guess what? Change will elude you. Very simple. One of the biggest issues in change is people's incapacity to recognize that change is necessary. We blame everything. As when we talk about obesity, we blame everything. Okay? We blame everything. Well, the problem is us. We're not showing ourselves as being worthy enough to require, to demand change. And we keep kicking the ball up the road. Okay? And we can't do that. We literally cannot. All right? And I'm going to reiterate this. When I answer a comment, the comment and I'm answering the comment is not just about you and your comment. So it's not a personal thing. All right? Because believe it or not, the person who said, I don't listen to the lyrics, trust me, that is the retort from many people. Okay? And so I took a portion of what you said. Okay, so just don't get too excited about it. Just took a portion of what you said. But a lot of people will say, well, I don't even really listen to the lyrics. I don't know what the lyrics mean. Trust and believe you do. I remember lyrics from songs that I haven't sung 40 years ago. And if you asked me point blank to write it down, I don't think I would have been able to write it down. But when it was playing, it starts playing. All right? So it's like your worth. When you believe you're worth certain things, you just don't expose yourself to certain situations. You think of yourself in a higher manner. You conduct yourself, you expose yourself to better things. So now the question is, what do you believe you're worth? Okay? The thing is, like, if you look at some people, right? How many people have a nice car, right? And people believe that car is worth so much they won't drive it in the rain. They don't like it to get wet, as if to say, or get a little dust on it or anything like that. That is an indication of how they feel that car is worth, or what they feel that car is worth, or what it's worth to them. All right? I always talk about people having a fancy car with light colored seats. They don't even let people get in their car with jeans on. But if you felt you were worth a certain amount, or worth a certain level of regard, there are certain things, like I said, you wouldn't expose yourself to. Certain situations you wouldn't put yourself in. Certain people you wouldn't hang around. Certain foods you wouldn't eat. Certain things you would engage in on a regular, systematic basis. The same way that person that loves their car washes and polishes and puts protective covering on that car. You would wash yourself. You would protect yourself. You would water yourself. You would grow yourself. You would expose yourself to certain things. The reason why you don't is because you don't believe you're worth that. And my question is, why is that? And isn't it time you actually raised your worth, your view of who you are? And we see it with people. And when you draw those analogies, you can see it clear as day. Think about it. I ask people this all the time. You say you love yourself. Okay, cool. Tell me what you've done today, right? As an act that shows that you love yourself. What actions have you taken? Have you taken care of your body? Have you hydrated yourself? Have you fed yourself actual food that is actually going to grow you as opposed to kill you? Have you exercised that body to keep it in good working order? Or do you just get in there and, like people who have been one of them junker cars, you just get in there whether it's cold or not, start it, doesn't matter, don't let it warm up and just take off. Because people who care for their cars, because I love using cars because people love their cars. People who care for their cars, they will sit there, let it warm up. They will make sure that the windows are clean. They vacuum and all those things like that. Have you done those things for yourself? I know people who have designer bags and shoes. They make sure they got to put them every time. They wipe them off and they put them in a protective cloth and they keep it in a cool, dry place, right? But these are the very same people that will eat McDonald's, won't work out, but when they're about to go out, because now they got these Spanx things. They'll put the Spanx things to make it look as if they have more worth than what they are, or at least what they would like to look like. All right. And no, you don't have to believe in the Bible. You just have to understand that you are worth it. Stop attaching self-worth to religion. It's not religious to have worth in yourself. It's what you should do. Okay? Period. You have atheists that have worth in themselves, and you have a lot of people who are in the church, who are preachers, who are walking around obese with guts, fat, diseased. It's not a religious thing. It's simply a worth thing. Okay? Something to think about. And like I said, when we go around, let me give you another example of worth. You look at certain communities, right? Certain communities don't tolerate anyone talking in any derogatory way about them, so much that the entire community will ban you. And they have the power to do so. But then you have certain communities that everybody can talk about them any kind of way they want. Why? Because they have no worth. You don't find it worthy enough to take a stand when somebody says something derogatory about you and your kind. Why? Because you don't see the worth. You don't see the value. All right? That's problematic. Because the less worth you see in yourself, the less worth the next generation will see. And it keeps going down and down and down and down in worth. And someone who doesn't have much worth or doesn't see much worth in themselves can be bought at base bottom prices and bastardized and prostituted for anything, even to sell out their own kind, because they don't see the worth. You can be made to accept all kinds of different variations of truth of who you really are, because you don't know yourself and you don't know your worth. So I would urge you to get acquainted with your worth and demand what you're worth from yourself. And then you can demand what you're worth from anyone else. And if you're unwilling to do that, then be ready to settle for what you get, which is not going to be much. And we see what that is right now in our society.